How to know you're actually ready for marriage. This is something that many people don't talk about. We always talk about, oh, you need to make sure that you have money, you need to make sure that you have the body, your attraction, this and that. And those are important. But the reality is, you can have those things and you're still not marriage material. It's not just about the external. And this is something that I really, really want you to grasp, because if you can grasp this, doesn't just apply to marriage, it applies to pretty much all areas of your life. Okay. Now, how to actually know you're ready for marriage, right? Maybe you're not married yet, you're you're actively looking, but you just don't know if you're ready yet, right? Maybe you're a younger person. That is possible as well. So the thing about it is, most people think, and like I said, they think if they got more money, better body, dream job, then they're ready to get married, right? They think that once they get those things, they will be ready. But the truth is, you're not truly ready until your state is ready. Your actual like state, okay? And that's what I'm going to explain in this video. What do I mean by your state, how to reach it, and how it actually shifted everything for myself in both fitness and marriage, and soon enough business as well, inshallah. So what is your state? So your state is your internal, your mindset, your energy, your emotional maturity, and your spiritual calm, right? Now, readiness is not always visible on the outside. It's a deep sense of certainty on the inside. So sometimes we think that when I get in shape, everything is going to be like this and that. And then when you get in shape, you realize, oh, well, it's not really like that. And sometimes you're like, oh, I'm still not in good shape, or I need to get bigger, or I need to get leaner, right? So these things are the external, and they will increase your confidence. They will improve your quality of life. However, until you change what's internal, until you change what's here and here, then then it's still going to stay the same. I got in shape many times. What I mean by that is, like, I bulked up to the point where I was getting bigger in terms of like just I built a lot of muscle, and there's points when I was super lean, right? But it wasn't until I actually changed, like my state actually started to actually become that thing. So that peaceful, focused state is where everything starts to align. Even myself, when I first started my fitness journey about a decade ago, I was confused, I was inconsistent, and I was frustrated. Why? Because I wasn't seeing results. Like, I would see some results. Sometimes I'd see a pump, or I'd see some small results, but I couldn't get past 140 pounds. I was like 100. I was always like 135 at that time. I was 135 pounds. I was skinny. Every time I go to the gym, I'd see a pump. I'm okay. This is how I want to look like when I'm not in a pump, but I couldn't reach it. Right. So there's times when I was working out and I would stop. I'd work out. I'd stop. For the most part, I was relatively consistent, but I would get discouraged a lot. I even hired personal trainers, and I just couldn't figure it out. Right. I kept trying, but there was a point where it started to feel clear. And then that's when I realized, oh, I'm going to get in shape. I already know what I need to do. And at that point, I wasn't in shape just yet, but I knew I was going to get in shape. I knew it. I knew deep down that I was going to get in shape. And that from there, like I said, that inner shift, it led me to probably one of my biggest physical transformations 6 to 12 months later. I even worked at a gym. And I was, at that point, I think my physique was probably the best it was in terms of aesthetics. Right. But at that point, I remember every single day when I was looking at myself, because I just come back from Senegal, right? I went to Senegal for a few months and I had malaria. I was really skinny at that time. But when I came back, I was like, okay, now I understand. I understand nutrition. I understand how to work out properly with good form. I know how to stay consistent. And this was probably like 6 or 7 years of trial and error. But as soon as I reached that state, I knew I was going to get in shape. And since that point, there's never been a point where I've been inconsistent with my workout routine. Even if I'm outside of the country, I will find ways to get some exercise in, whether it's through running, whether it's through my jump rope, whether it's just through some resistance, right? I'll always find a ways to stay in shape. So that's a huge, huge one. And even with marriage, right? I went through years of uncertainty, like false starts and self doubt, right? I was rejected so many times. I was a guy known as the friend zone. Like I would always get friend zoned. I didn't understand any of it, right? I was thinking that the answers was through YouTubers, the pickup guys. I thought that was the way to do it because at that time there wasn't that many Islamic, like Islamic, I don't even say dating, Islamic marriage experts online, right? But now, alhamdulillah, there's a little bit more. I still feel like there's a little bit of a gap when it comes to it, but I kept working on myself. I stayed in the process. I learned the dynamic between men and women. That's a huge one, just understanding men and women because we are very different. Understanding the dynamic. I worked on my own self. Obviously, I worked out. I got myself in good shape, right? And that wasn't the answer. It took a couple years, of course, until I got married. But my confidence started to increase in myself. I started to have a little more of a vision when it came to my career, right? So it started to align, and I started to understand how to properly communicate. So it reached a state where I was no longer chasing. I felt calm, I felt grounded, and it was to the point where I would have friends asking me like, "Hey, like, why are you like not like?" They would ask me like, "Yo, why are you not looking or why?" Like I would kind of like be really calm about it. Like I'm kind of pretty much chilling, right? I'm not like worried about it. And sometimes they'd be like, "Yo, like, why are you not like chasing it?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm not like it's like not I'm not at that. I'm past that stage, right?" So I was at a point where I told myself, well, I obviously I want to get married, but I'm not desperate. I'm not gonna like go like like But if it came my way, Alhamdulillah, I'll embrace it. So that was a huge one, and from that point, when it came from me, it kind of when it came, I wasn't even surprised. Even when I got in shape, I wasn't surprised. This is what happens when I'm surprised, right? You can have something, and sometimes Allah will delay something. And this is something I'm learning, especially when it comes to business. Allah will delay something because you're not there yet. You're not that person yet, right? So I know that if I got married when I was in my early 20s, I had a huge ego, right? So at that time, I knew that I wouldn't work. But now, alhamdulillah, I'm a little more calm. I'm more relaxed. Obviously, I learned a lot through all the rejection that I went through. So, and also, I also value it more, so that's a thing as well. Sometimes Allah will delay it, and I had to do a lot of internal work, right, and within myself. Even when I came back from Senegal, I had a broken engagement, right, two actually. So I was like heartbroken. I had this like resentment, and it took me. I had to heal mentally. I had to heal like emotionally. And once I actually healed, that's when things started to open up. That's when it felt like a lot easier. And I was discouraged at times. I wanted to give up. There's points when I said I don't want to get married. There were those points, but the time when it was like 6 months before where it started to like make sense. I was like, okay, well now I'm ready for it. And usually that's when you start to receive it. People always say, "Oh, your life can change in 90 days." It's not. Yes, it can change in 90 days, but sometimes it's after years of trial and error. People don't talk about that. So that's a huge thing. And people miss this. So people think it's about your bank account. Going back to marriage, it's your bank account, your appearance, or your timeline, right? Maybe it's your age. People think, oh, like when you reach a certain age, I mean, there's people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s that aren't married, right? It's not really a thing where age. I know they say age is just a number, but it really is like as long as you're persisting, of course you can get there. But that's something to really understand. Like it's not this isn't it. There's no timeline behind this. Everything's Allah's plan and the work that you put in, especially internally. So ask yourself these questions: Are you grounded or are you anxious? Right? If you're a grounded person, we all have problems, we all have issues, we all have things that go on. Even me, I get anxious all the time. Right? It's normal. We are human beings, right? But how do you respond? Right? Do you stay grounded or anxious? Right? Are you desperate or are you content? A lot of people want to get married. They're desperate to get married. In my early 20s, I was desperate to get married. And that energy kind of, I'm sure that's why I got friend zone all the time. That energy kind of, you can see that energy, right? At that point, it was too, I wasn't confident in myself. That was a huge thing as well, right? Are you aligned with Allah's plan or are you focusing your own? I had experiences where I tried. I prayed istikhara and I can feel it pulling away from me. And I just kept trying to like take it, right? So are you aligned with Allah's plan or are you focusing your own? Sometimes you have to let go of it, let go of whatever is happening, right? Until your state changes, your results won't. And that's a reality, right? So how do you get into that state? The thing is, it's a lot of trial and error. You have to keep trying, keep learning, and not give up. Tire a camel, leave the rest to Allah. You have to tie your camel. Like it took me years. Had I not put in a like what happens, and this is like what happens to a lot of people. Sometimes what happens is people are so focused on one aspect of their life. They're focused on just their studies, right? And people say, "Oh," and this is something that me personally, when I was in my early 20s, I worked on every aspect of my life. Yes, there was a priority. For example, like maybe fitness was my priority or maybe my schooling was my priority, but I still worked on other areas of my life. So even when I was in school, like when I was in college, I still went to the gym, right? I still did my best to try to find somebody, right? I still try to learn about men and female dynamics. I still did my best to learn about this stuff. So it's important to keep learning all these different things. And even like my dean, right? I'm learning Arabic right now and I'm doing it just 1 day a week, right? But it's important to persist and keep doing this thing. It's better to be consistent at something with small steps than to try to do everything all at once. Yes, there's going to be a time and place for that. Sometimes maybe you're going to do a course, you're going to go to school, or you're going to maybe that's going to be a part of your life. If you're married or something like that, you may have to focus on the marriage, right? Or kids, right? There's a time and place for that. However, don't neglect the other parts of your life. And that's something that alhamdulillah that I'm glad that that I didn't neglect, because I could have said, "Oh, I'm going to focus on this is a big thing actually." A lot of people will say, "Oh, I'll focus on my schooling, or after my exams I'll start working out." You can do that. That's cool, but your health doesn't stop because of your exams. I think this is something, your health doesn't stop. Like your health doesn't stop because of your exams. So understand that your health doesn't stop. So you should at least do something. Go for a walk, maybe change your diet, maybe improve your sleep. Yes. And the ironic thing about this too, and this is something a side tangent, is taking care of your health will enable you to think clear mentally and actually help you perform better, which is such an ironic thing. But it's like we kind of have it backwards. We think that if we do this, then this is going to come. We take it secondary. So that's what I mean. Keep learning, keep trying, don't give up. Read books, podcasts, and content that builds your mindset. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot more content from a lot of imams, and well, a lot. Even though we have this book here, that's called Healthy Muslim Marriage, right? You have a lot of these references that we can go to now that can help us when it comes to our marriage journey. And you have to learn. Like a lot of people, they just like I always hear someone like I remember when I was learning, when I was trying to figure this stuff out, I would always hear someone like I knew someone, he was always like, "Oh, you have to try, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it." I'm like, "You have to do it, but you also have to learn too." Because what happens is if you just take action, which is great, like I'm that type of person, you take action and you're not taking the time to reflect and learn, then you're just gonna keep taking endless action. There's people out there who work super hard. They're going after their dreams, right? But they're not taking the time to learn, right? Even on social media, I see like alhamdulillah, like my social media profile has done a lot better in the last like couple of months. But I've just been learning on the side. I study it, like I'm studying it. So you have to study. It's like sports. You think players they just go to the field and they start playing? No, they go and they practice, they learn, they watch the tapes, they're studying, right? Even the psychology, they're studying everything. So you have to study this. Understand the dynamics between men and women. Understand a lot of people don't even look at this stuff. They just think, oh, when I get married, it's gonna be like this and that, and then they think it's like some Hollywood movie. No, you have to understand. You have to learn what does marriage really mean. What does it entail? What is marriage really? And this is something that we need to understand. We need to learn. Keep learning. Always learn. Right. Next one is make dua. Ask Allah to sincerely guide you. This is like number one. Ask Allah to guide you. And this is something that a lot of people don't do. Istikhara, a lot of people are sleeping on istikhara. I don't even know why they're sleeping on it, especially when it comes to marriage. The person you marry is probably what, like I always hear, the person you marry is what the biggest decision you'll ever make. And I'll be honest, I agree with that. Because even me, when I got married, my sense of urgency to provide increased, right? Whereas there was sometimes when there's a prospect that I was talking to, and like I didn't feel that way, right? And marrying the right person is very important. So istikhara is a key thing. Istikhara will save you time. Ask Allah to guide you and prepare you for what's coming. Everything, we're Muslims. Alhamdulillah, this is something we have. Make dua. I'm reading a book called The Power of Dua. I've been just studying about dua because sometimes I feel like my duas need to be improved. I feel like sometimes when I make dua, I don't have the conviction that it's going to actually happen. That's something I need to also remind it to myself as well, right? So that's a huge thing. And then a lot of inner work. I have countless journals myself that I've used for specific reasons. right? Even when I meet someone, I'll put it in my journal, right? Even when when I met my wife, before she was even my wife, I put it in my journal. I said, hey, I'm intrigued. I didn't even I just put it in my journal, right? So it's one of those things where you have to journal, you have to clean your heart, face your own patterns, you have to face yourself. And all this, a lot of people don't do. They don't face themselves. They just face, like, they look at what's outside, they look at what everyone else is doing, but they don't look at their own selves, right? So you have to face your own patterns. You have to look at your own emotional state. You have to see, am I someone who I would marry, right? I do the inner work. That's going to be a huge thing, right? So the next thing is you have to keep moving forward even when you don't feel ready. Okay, that's how you become ready. Now, I talked about, you just keep trying, right? You have to keep trying. You have to tie your camel. You have to find different means. When I was trying, I went, I did all different means, right? I even went to an event once, right? It was one of those like matrimonial events, and I felt embarrassed like to go. Like, it's one of those things where it's like it's a story that, but like I was there and I felt like I felt good about it, but I felt like kind of embarrassed. And when I was like, because it's like one of those things where it's like, but I'm putting myself out there. Or people, a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. Nah, like, why would I do that?" But you try. You have to try. But people aren't trying. People are just not trying. You have to put yourself out there. You have to try. Okay. And this is where a lot of men, they just don't try. Like, they're thinking, they're like, "Oh, I want to do this," but they're not trying. They don't try, and they hold on to things, and they're indecisive. Like, a lot of men are like this. I don't know why, but a lot of men are indecisive. They lack a sense of urgency, lack a sense of purpose. It's one of those things where it's like, we're Muslims. We need ourselves to step up. Okay. So tie your camel, find different methods. If you feel like you keep getting rejected, ask yourself the questions. Don't say, "Oh, she's like, because she's like this, she's like this, she's like." Sometimes you are the problem. It's you. Sometimes it's you. You have to work on yourself. And that might take some inner work. It might be you. If you're going to a bunch of job interviews and you're not getting a job, okay, yes, it could be that Allah is protecting you from certain things. You also have to ask yourself the questions like, okay, well, I've done 5 interviews and I haven't gotten a job yet. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. And then you have to ask yourself those questions, right? So if you're not growing, for example, with your business, maybe ask yourself some questions. Okay, maybe I need to make some adjustments, right? There's a moment where you keep going, you hold on, and as soon as you get the data, like you get enough data and you see, okay, what's working, what's not working, you take what's working, you go, and then you take what's not working, and then you kind of either improve it or you let go of it. So if this resonates with you and you're trying to either get in shape, build confidence, or just get ready for marriage with clarity, but you're feeling unsure or stuck, I do offer coaching for Muslim men who need that real support and structure. So what you can do is you can just click the link down below, apply, and we can hop on a free call to see if it makes sense to work together. Now, this is not for everyone, of course. This is for those who are actively looking. If you're in a haram relationship, click that link below. Like, if you're in a haram relationship right now, click that link below, because that is I think that's like, I will tell you on the call, the free call that we do, to leave that relationship. Like, I will let you know the truth. I will give you the hardcore truth, because that is something I'll break down one day. Haram relationships are gonna hold you back many years. It's gonna hold you many years. So if you're in a haram relationship, book a call, like 100% book a call. Even if we don't work together, book a call. I will convince you to leave that haram relationship, or to either involve family. I will give you like the hard truth. Okay. If you don't like that, then for sure, then it's up to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Inshallah, I hope to talk to you soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Let me know any questions. I'm not a marriage expert, of course, but I've done a lot of inner work in my own self, and I have a good idea of things that you should look into. And as someone who grew up in the West, that I can provide some insights here, and still relatively young. So, anyways, Jazakallah khair. We will talk soon, and yeah, I'll talk to you later.